So we'll start the session after the evening session, the afternoon session. We will have 8 presentations from our partners, among them one from Slimane Bennett or Pasteur Institute of Tunis. So we'll start now by Pasteur Institute of Tunis, then Dakar, after that Cameroon, after that Uganda, then CEMA Niger, and then the institution of Mwangi, and to finish CEMA from Kenya. So please, Slimane, he will be presenting the lab beams as a modeling unit in the Amax project.
So hello again, everyone. So I will try to present our lab and what we are doing. So this presentation, so our lab the name of our lab is Laboratory of Bioinformatics, Biomathematics, and Biostatistics. So which is mean in English BIMS. BIMS is the unit of construction. So bioinformatics, mathematics, and statistics is supposed to be the unit of construction of biology. So our lab, so this is our lab, and I will explain you the history of our lab. In fact, our lab was created as a group in 2004. In 2004, it was created by 2 elements. One is Amira Kebir, is a bioinformatician, and myself, a biomathematician. So we create a first group, and with some students. In 2010, we get our first PhD student, who is Amira Kebir. She got her PhD in 2010. The first PhD from the lab, from the group. It was not the lab at that time. And then we get 2 other PhD students, who are Dira and Suai, more bioinformatician. And then 2012, we get the second biomath PhD with Shatta Sanogo, which was a joint PhD thesis with Nadia Raisi is here from Morocco. And then 2014, Sandus Mandi, bioinformatician. And 2016, we create the lab. And you need to understand that in Tunisia, the notion of lab is you need to ask to the Minister of Higher Education to be what we call the lab. And it means that you have certain things that you need to have, a certain number of senior, a certain number of PhD students, a certain number of founding. And if you Minister of Higher Education accept that to be a lab, so it will give you fund in order to work. So it's I would say recognition of Ministry of Higher Education of our groups. So we get the first the creation of the lab was in 2016, and Alim Kahla was the first director of the lab. Then you get other PhD students, Dora Alweti and Mariam Jlassi, then biomathematician doing individual-based model. Then Abil Saraj, biostatistician. Then you get other PhD students in 2019, and then you're gonna have more and more PhD students. So second, what you just would like to remark that Rasen was also a joint PhD with Nadia Raisi from Morocco. So 2020, it was the second. Actually, every 4 years you need to ask again to be a lab. You have an evaluation, scientific evaluation, financial evaluation, in order to be reconducted. So in 2020, our lab was reconducted, and I was the second director of the lab from 2020 to 2024. So then we get other PhD students, and we get our first, what we call the HDR. HDR is to be full professor in Tunisia, you need to have a new diploma, which is like similar to the tenure in the United States, which is something that allow you to ask to be a full professor. It's a diploma. So you get our first lab HDR, which is Dira. and then other PhD student, and then in 2023 you get HDR of Amira Kebir and CEMA. And what we have now is we are in 2024. We have a second term of our lab. So you get an evaluation in December, and you have a new, you have new 4 years, a new program, scientific programs, and also new director. So new director is Kaiser Dira, and he is going to be director from 2024 to 2028. Like our lab, we decided to have each 4 year you have biomathematician, bioinformatics, biomathematician, bioinformatics. We change the head of the lab each 4 years, depending on bioinformatics, and then turning to bioinformatics and so on. So, as I said, first head of the lab was Alia, then I was head of the lab, and now it's Kaiser Dira, which is what I am very proud from this time, because it's the first student formed in the lab who is head of the lab, which is a good thing to note. So concerning the budget of our lab, I put in red, you have the contribution of the Ministry of Higher Education in the budget of our lab. So that's what you see from 2060 to 2090, the contribution of Ministry of Health is very small, and mainly almost 81% of our budget come from projects, which is a very nice thing, but it can lead to a lot of question problems that we can discuss next. Mainly what we need to know, that we are a very particular lab in Tunisia. We are a very particular lab I think in many countries. We are a mathematician and computer science lab inside a public health institution, which is very particular. That's why if you observe the number, mainly our students, the senior, I mean the professor, from associate PhD, let's say PhD and above, you have mainly mathematician, computer scientists, and a small number, in mean number of biologists. Mainly the biologists that you have come from biology, but turning to bioinformatics, mathematical modeling. If you look at students, mainly the main part of our students come from mathematics and computer science, and less from biology. This is very important to note, because you are really truly mathematics, computer science for health. So, as you said, that I told you, you have bioinformatics, biomathematics, and biostatistics. So we have 3 teams. The first one is bioinformatics. Second team is modeling for public health, and the third one is biostatistics, metabolomics, and computational metabolomics. So I will present the team 2, which is the one that we belong, and the one that is here. So it's a group. The team. You have I'll say it. I don't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say 10 PhD student medical doctor in these groups, with 2 postdocs, and moving to 3, and 6 PhD students and 2 master students. What I call master students at the end of the master diploma. They were preparing the master diploma with us, and they're going to be in the doctoral let's say the PhD student next. Mainly, what we need to note that mainly the background of the you can divide the background of the senior as what I call biologist. Just is not I would say for example, if you say Kaiser Dira was a biologist, well, 2 things. Biologist now it's a level. It's not what you study. We say it's a biologist is like an associate professor in Pasteur Institute. Pasteur Institute, you have biologist adjoint, biologist, and biologist principal, which is associate professor, associate professor, assistant professor, associate professor, and full professor. Maître assistant is assistant professor. Professor is full professor, and so on. And you have a group of medical doctors. So mainly what our objective is to provide a computational framework based on mathematics and computer science for designing and simulating complex systems and in ecology and epidemiology using multi-dimensional approach. What can be important to note that we use it to work on ecology. We did not use it to work on epidemiology. We worked more than 10 years on ecology and problem of ecology, and then we switched to epidemiology. When the lab was created, we switched to epidemiology. The pathology that interests us, you have direct transmission disease, which is the sexual transmission disease, HPV, hepatitis, and HIV. But also we are interested in ecology, epidemiology interaction with the vector-borne disease, climate change, and antibiotic resistance. What it interests us in vector-borne disease, and it's mainly the effect of the vector dynamics on the transmission of the disease. And all these two types goes in decision support for public health. The notion of decision support public health is something very new for us. We begin it with the COVID-19 epidemic, and we are switching more and more to this type of, introducing this type of subject in our thematics. So this is what our project and what we're interested in. So mainly public health modeling, data and impact that we have. And what we have two big groups. The first one for vaccination strategy, second one is the interaction between ecology and epidemiology. In the public health modeling, data and impact, we work a lot with the Ministry of Health, and mainly with three groups, with the Directorate of General Basic Health, the Director General of Health, and what we call the INEAS. The INEAS is the institute who give the agreement to the public health program. And our goal is to establish a communication platform between decision maker and modeler, and to try to think which is the best strategy to create this platform. Then we have the vaccination strategy. We worked a lot with the Basic Health Care Directorate, and another ONG is called the Tawhid Abshir, which deal with the women health. And we are concerning with sexual transmission disease, HPV, evaluation cost effectiveness, and looking at the dynamics of the HPV. We are very interested in HPV in the perception that the modeling the dynamics of the perception. The second thing that interests us a lot is creating models on immune response for vaccine and vaccination, modeling the immunity lost in the population at the level of the individual and at the level of the population. The second topic, which is the interaction between ecology and epidemiology, we work a lot with the veterinary school and the vector system ecology unit at Pasteur Institute. And it concerns essentially on life cycle modeling of macroparasite. And we are concerning with two types of parasite, macroparasites, tick and fly. And the goal is to try to study the effect of climate and vector-borne disease epidemiology, leishmaniasis and tick-borne disease. And what interesting us is the impact of climate on the life cycle of the vector and its impact on the epidemiology. And I think that it's one of the most challenging questions that you can ask, and the most difficult questions that you can ask. So mainly our big project, which can be the Amax project that we have here. You have the AMC project. And the third one that we have with bioinformatician groups is using comparative pathometagenomics decipher how intracellular bacteria subvert the macrophage immunometabolism, which is making the connection between antibioresistance and bioinformatics, making the link between them. It's a Pasteur network project. So in terms of infrastructure, we have a high-performance HPV server, one master server for high performance, high memory, and so on. They were paid by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Higher Education. And we have another HPC cluster with 272 cores, and I don't know, very technical. And so I will stop here. So mainly this is with all our projects we obtain, and that's all. Thank you. Do you have any question? No? So let's move to, yeah? Yes, yes.
Yes, so thank you for all this information. It's very interesting, but I want to know how your lab is connected to the Ministry of Health of Tunisia in order to be useful for them. Thank you. How your laboratory is connected to the Tunisian Ministry of Health.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So thank you for the question. Yeah. In fact, first you need to know that the connection with the Ministry of Health and the thinking that is important for us is something new, and that this appeared after the COVID-19. Before COVID-19, we were creating models in order to try to understand what happened, or even trying to understand the process inside the biological phenomena. And when arrived COVID-19, we had challenged from the fact that we need to solve questions about what will happen. And you were asked to give a solution to some problem. So we switched our research on the impact of some decision, NPI decision, impact of vaccination strategy, finding what is the best strategy, and so on. And also to try to propose a model in order to give forecast of what will happen in the future. So at the end of we were integrated in many, Ministry of Health asked us to be part of some groups of decision where we create models and try to solve the question that I told you. And after that, we was thinking, we begin to we begin to think or say what is the best strategy to work with them? How the best strategy to discuss with them? To create platform in order to each one can know the other. To create a platform where we trust each other. And from that, we integrate in our lab a group of medical doctors. And mainly Hnaim Zara, she was former director of the la direction des santé de base. Direction, how do you call it? Exactly. And she worked, she had a long experience working with the policymaker. And she helped us to try to create this platform, this decision platform, how to deal, how to create, how to have, and in a sustainable way. So here, you are trying you are beginning. You are trying to find the best solution, you are testing, and so on. And so last thing, we worked, as I told you, with the director of Direction de la Santé, Director de la Santé, the public health director, and the cabinet of the Minister of Health. Yeah.
Thank you for the very nice presentation. I wanted actually to follow up on his question regarding now the sister ministry for the veterinary side, and I see you have nice studies around ecology. Is a connection with the veterinary school, or is it connection with government, and is the veterinary side actually using models to decide on policy at all?
Well, as I told you, you spend a lot of time working on ecology. So you still have a question, open question that you would like to answer in ecology. So my answer is, if you look at these subjects, mainly are more theoretical subjects, trying to understand the effect of climate, but with very few, yeah, I will, we use it to, how could I say it? It's quite, I will give you in more detail, perhaps it will be easier for me to explain you. We worked a lot on theoretical models, and then we try to apply it, model on West Nile, where you have mosquitoes' life cycle, and you model the mosquitoes' life. In fact, you are very good in modeling the life cycle of parasite, and you apply it for mosquitoes. And you apply it for mosquitoes in the case of West Nile. And it worked quite well. And we did it for Leishmania. And, but if you ask me if you can you apply it for, it's used in public health for decision, I will say no. But if you ask me if the veterinarians could use it for trying to interpret or trying to think, the answer is yes. I don't know, even well, I will stop here. We can discuss then. I will give you what my point of view, it's not my point of view, what it's something I don't really, when you speak with the policymaker, many times you don't know exactly if they are using, if they used your model in their decision or not. But I mean, it's a question that you are asking. Yeah. No. So thank you very much. So, d'accord. Marie. Ou Fir, je sais pas.
Where is the file? The file is not here. Oh, is it this one? No, it's not here. This is not the good file. This is the wrong one. So, where is the USB? Is it this one? No, it was in a blue one. It's not this one. Okay, here. Yes. Alors, comment tu es sur la clé? Parce que celui-là, c'est 4 KO, c'est le vide, c'est le point. On n'a pas copié le bon. Alors là, on est sur la clé. C'est quoi le nom? Allez, last modified, c'est ici.
Comment il s'appelle? Robert Valou, je sais pas trop voir.
Voilà, c'est celui-là. On a copié le... Donc je copie ça pour plus de sécurité. Voilà, c'est bon. Sorry, can you see? But it cannot... Okay, good. So thank you. So I'm presenting you our team in Institut Pasteur of Dakar. So it's the epidemiology and data science unit. Can I have display as Japo. Oh. How can I put it in view, Japo view? Okay, great, thank you. So, IP Dakar belongs to a network of Pasteur Institute. During the break, we were discussing with some people who didn't know about the Pasteur network, what is the size, number of institutes within the network. So the network comprised 33 institutes across the globe. Many of these are in Africa and the other in South America, Europe, and Asia. And they are spread in 26 countries with more than 23,000 people working in the network. In Senegal, we are close to 600 collaborators working in IP Dakar. And the network is working also a lot with WHO through collaborative centers. So focusing in IP Dakar, so it's a Senegalese foundation since 2009. Before that, it was a French Research Institute, but since 2009, it became a Senegalese foundation. It's non-profit and contribute to public health in Africa and mainly in Senegal. And main activities of IP Dakar is not only research, so we have research, public health, education and training, because researchers in Institute Pasteur of Dakar collaborate a lot with local universities, so they are involved in master degrees, giving some courses. Also, they train people in lab techniques, like people from Research Institute in Senegal, also in Africa. So that's why I differentiate here education and training, medical expertise, and especially production of yellow fever vaccine. So if I come to our group, the epidemiology and data science group, so we have three main axes for our activities. So we have activities around interventions, where we go to the field, we are connected with the Ministry of Health. So it's the people working on epidemiology, disease surveillance, which is done with the Ministry of Health, field investigation, when we detect some cases for some disease in the country. So we have a unit who can go with some lab people also, people from virology or entomology, to go to the field and investigate the problem and to see if there is an outbreak or not. Research, clinical research, we started this mainly during COVID-19, looking with hospital people the efficacy of some treatment. And also another group of activities around data analytics, data science, where we have like health informaticians who are making tools for people who are going to the field to do data collection, because we move more and more from physical paper for collecting data on the field to using tablets. And we know that it's a good approach to improve data quality and to have also quicker access to the information. So these people make these mobile apps, etc., for people going to the field, also data management team for cleaning, etc., bioinformatics, biostatistics, and modeling, and also working on statistical genetics, because also on Institute Pasteur we have a sequencing platform where we have a lot of viral strain and other pathogens that are sequenced there for genomic surveillance. And also our team, our bioinformatics, is working on the dry lab part for the genomics. And also we recently have, so since just before COVID in 2019, we have a health policy project with 5 people, myself as the PI of this project funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates through WHO Afro, where the main objective is to transform research results into into policy briefs, like documents that we can put on the table of policymakers. So linking research results to policymakers in an adequate way for them to have access to this evidence from research. So I can split our research and question our activities into research and public health. And if I come to epidemiology, our main questions are, for example, these: what are the risk factors for emerging disease, and also for hemorrhagic fever disease, malaria, etc. also. And we want also to understand the spatiotemporal and spatiotemporal dynamics of emerging diseases and hemorrhagic fever. What are the main drivers? How to measure the impact of response strategies during outbreaks. And also, what are the human genetic role in the diversity of the outcome of infection for malaria and for arboviruses? Because we also have some projects for which we genotype people, and after looking the epidemiological factor, we go further to host genetic factors also. And for clinical research, we do clinical trials and diagnostic trials, testing like efficacy of some diagnostic tool, like some rapid diagnostic tests. So health informatics, I already said they are working on digitalization, making mobile apps, platform, electronic, so because we have to exchange a lot of information between us and the Ministry of Health, and also between us and the labs, because the first information on people, on patients, are collected by the epidemiology on the field, but once the sample come into the lab people also add some results, and we need to connect all this via a platform. And the bioinformatics, as I said, for the genomic surveillance. And for the data science, we have some research activity on data science, and also some just application of existing tools and methods to run some scientific project. And for the research part, we have these two main things to look at: how we can make more powerful methods for variable selection, and also how to do clustering using the constraints of real data, which are not always independent data, already like very clean data, so correlated data. And we have a PhD student who just defended his PhD a few months ago on this. So if I focus on the data science group, the work is organized through these three main domains, like this is risk factors. And when I said risk factors, it can be genetic and non-genetic. And if non-genetic means the environmental factor, the epidemiological factor, and social anthropological factors. And we focus on infectious disease, and recently on non-communicable disease. And we start with cervical cancer in Senegal, working with the center in the hospital in Senegal, taking in charge cancers. And also, so that's why we have the HPV data set for the Amax project. And also mathematical modeling, for which Mariam is the lead of this activity, outbreak prediction. And also we want to go through spatio-temporal location of cases, predicting number of cases, but also where they are located. Impact of intervention, evaluating response measure, etc. And these are the collaborators in general, for which we don't have necessarily specialists in the group, but we can collaborate with these people also to be able to write papers for interpretation, etc. And here you have the people who are working in the group mainly. We have other people, but these are the main people, and you can see Sheikh Tala and Mariam Jara in the two first domain, and they can interchange, working both in mathematical modeling and in disease risk factors. So if I come to the surveillance, because this is a very important activities in our service, surveillance allows us to have a lot of data across the country, but it's data that the Ministry of Health allow us to collect for them and to share with them. But at the same time, we can do research on this data. So this is the objective of this surveillance in Senegal, is to detect and provide early warning for unusual or unexpected events. Like for several DCs under surveillance, we know their dynamic during the year and what are the expected value across the year. So if at some time we have more than expected, so we have to go on the field and do investigation to see what happened. And if we, after that we can say to the Minister of Health, yes, this is an outbreak, we need to build a response or not, this kind of thing. Monitor dynamic evolving trend of disease under surveillance, and also to strengthen national capacities to detect and report. So just this is the mapping of the site across the country. So you can see that all regions in the country have at least one sentinel site. And this is a syndromic surveillance. So people are recruited as suspected people, depending on their symptoms. And if needed, they can be sampled and the sample sent to the lab for confirmation. And it is a growing network, because you can see that we have recently some new sites that are open in Dakar and also in other regions of the country. So this is the list of diseases, of family of diseases under surveillance: respiratory syndromes, mainly influenza and COVID-19, arboviral hemorrhagic fevers syndromes, febrile diarrhea, and malaria syndrome also. So this is an example of summary data on this network for 1 year. This is between July 2022 and June 2023. You can see here we can extract on the database and see the number of people who came through these 31 sentinel sites because they had fever, and within them how many had febrile syndrome, so how many had fever, like 15,000 had fever. And also we can see how many have received a malaria rapid diagnostic test, etc., and how many was positive. Like here you have 1,980 positive malaria cases, which was 13% of the total number of fever, number of suspected flus and COVID-19, etc., arboviruses, diarrhea, febrile diarrhea, etc., and blooded diarrhea also, so diarrhea where we detect blood into the diarrhea. Because we are centralizing data for different laboratories, for bacteriologists, virologists, immunologists in the epidemiology team. So here, this is just the number, these positive malaria cases, like if you sum this percentage, 45% and 10%, more than half of the malaria positive cases was spread into these two areas in Senegal. And this is some recommendation and finding that we give back to the Minister of Health, so they can see why their political malaria eradication policy is not working in this area, for example. And this is an example also of dengue. So this sentinel surveillance started a long time ago, but it was digitalized since 2015 with Sheikh Tala and Dr. Barry, and Sheikh Tala was taking into account the digital part of this surveillance. And we can see dengue, how it is detected from 2015, 16, 17, etc., until 2021 across the country. You can see each year you have more and more places that are concerned with positive dengue cases, and the number of cases also is growing. This can be done also to the efficacy of the surveillance. Maybe even the first years also we had dengue in every part of the country, but the surveillance system is becoming more and more sensitive, so we can see it in different parts of the country. So this sentinel surveillance is working a lot in Senegal, detecting more than 20 outbreaks at early stage, so the government can respond very quickly and avoid a lot of death, like it was the case for dengue outbreak in Burkina. It was in Burkina recently, where they had a lot of death, and in Senegal, for example, we can have dengue cases without deaths, because we know what happened at early stage, and we can quickly respond and cut it. And this was like people said it was a success, this surveillance in Senegal, and the regional institution like WAHU, the West African Health Organization, and also the Africa CDC, so they wanted to have this same approach in other countries, in the 15 ECOWAS countries, the West African country. So, and they charge Institut Pasteur, our team, to go meet other people, other country, Minister of Health. So when we go to a country, we go also with someone from our Minister of Health to share our way of working with them, and also to help them implement the same surveillance system. And we already implement that in Mauritania, Gambia, so the country in green, and Cabo Verde. And since we implemented like just 2 years ago, we detected in Cabo Verde, they detected dengue in their country, and the last one was in 2009. And we implement that in 2022, and they had an outbreak of dengue that were detected. Same thing in Gambia also, they detected for the first time chikungunya for the first time in the country through this surveillance system. And in yellow is the next year, the country that will be involved in this syndromic surveillance, and also in brown is for 2025. We also work on forecasting the next COVID-19 wave during the COVID-19 outbreak. So this was done by Mariam Jara, and this was something asked by the Ministry of Health. So they asked IPD to predict when will be the next wave and what will be the level approximately. And like after the second wave, we did this prediction for the third wave. And the other graph on the right is what happened. Like the dots are the real data, show you what happened in reality, and the line are the prediction. So what was predicted for third wave on left is not very far from what happened also, and also they ask us again to do it for the fourth wave. And I think Mariam was using tools in common with Tunisia, Cambridge, the common models. It was very, 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 very useful. So, and this is a good example of a partnership that worked and was useful for at least for our country and for our Ministry of Health. So I can give the floor to Mariam to present the Amax project, and this is the part of the data science team that are involved in the Amax project. So Mariam.
Thank you, Sheikh. Hello, everyone. First of all, I will give some the role of IPD in the Amax project. And first of all, I will just present the people involved in this project from Dakar. And as you can see, we started with one PhD student, Serin Diagne. He joined the courses, the Amax courses. And also, we will recruit another PhD student in few months. We are in the process of recruiting this PhD student, and he will be working in HPV, hepatitis B, sorry. And as you can see, for this team, there are all data scientists, and all work we will do during this Amax project will be supervised by the senior data scientist in our department, namely Sheikh Tala and Sheikh Lukuba. And Ray also help a lot for teaching in statistics and supervising everything we are doing in this network. And then for Amax, we are collaborating in 2 work packages. The first one is for work package 2, collaborative mentoring of PhD and postdoc. And here, the main purpose of this work package is to facilitate collaboration through student selection, co-supervision, and valorization of research projects. And also we will host PhD and postdoc students from other countries within the Amax consortium. And of course, we will also have our students, they will be trained and gain expertise from other countries in the consortium. And also, we will enroll 2 PhD students in Senegal. The first PhD student is already selected and is working now in human papillomavirus, and the second one will work on hepatitis B. If I go, for example, to the PhD one, he will work specially for mathematical modeling of the spread of HPV in Senegal. And here, one of his main objective is, first of all, evaluating the impact of HPV screening on cervical cancer prevention in Senegal. As Sheikh Lukubar said earlier, we are starting now doing a seroprevalence survey on human papillomavirus in Senegal, and we will use this data to calibrate the model and to fit the model to the Senegalese context. And the second objective is to determine optimal vaccination strategies to support decision making. And as we are also in the phase of implementing vaccines, HPV vaccines in Senegal, we will also try to assess the cost effectiveness of this current vaccination strategies in Senegal. Also, we are not limited to these questions, so we will try to have much more necessary to help decision making in if they have other questions, specific questions, and so on for this project. And for the subject, for the PhD student too, we are in the process of recruiting this PhD student, and hopefully, I think in few months we will have it. And he will focus specifically on modeling maternal screening and optimizing hepatitis B vaccination strategies, especially in mother-to-child transmission in Senegal. As I said, we are also involved in the work package 3. I'm helping Dora, which is the responsible of this work package, for organizing workshops, conference, and training. The task for this work package is to design the school program, organize schools and workshops, evaluate the school implementation, and as well organize conferences. And here, for this Amax projects, our expectations are to contribute to the development of mathematical models to help decision making on diseases that are mainly affected women in Africa. And also, the main expectation for being involved in this project is to be part of the networks of peers on the continent and have access to a space for exchange and support when necessary. And I think Professor Thumbi has said it earlier, this is necessary to have a network where you can discuss, where you can be mentor, and where you can mentor other students. It will be a very big consortium, so that if some people have their own pieces and bring their own pieces to the consortium, I think we will have fruitful results on that. Yes, I let the floor to Sheikh.
Thank you, Mariam. So to end, just to show you the team, so it's a staff of 43 people. So during COVID-19, we was around 70 people, but now we are 43 with some people constantly on the field in Dialmo, Job, and Kédougou, our research station that we have in Senegal. We have a little bit more male than female in the team. And the profile of people working in the team also, we have a medical doctor trained as epidemiologists also in addition, nurses, and we have also mathematician, statistician, bioinformatician. We also have computer scientists who are developing databases and tools and some people, specialists in on public health, also working in the team. They recently, it's just 4 years, they have been, since 2019, they have been in this project, which is also another consortium of 5 countries. We are the only French-speaking country in this network. We also have Ethiopia, Kenya, with Chofa. I don't know if you know Chofa in Kenya, his team, and Nigeria, and also I forgot and Rwanda, voila. And we have, we have a lot of contractors, so the team is dynamic. Some people have very short contract, they come and they go back. And here are what they look like, some of them. And thank you. Merci. Jerejef is thank you in Wolof. Jerejef is thank you in Wolof. You guys. I searched for Arabic, but I didn't have Jerejef. Jerejef. I didn't have
Jerejef. Jerejef.
Do you have questions? 2 questions there.
3,
Thumbi.
I think.
So thank you for this presentation. You mentioned that you went from collecting the data from papers to tablet. Can you tell me the process exactly?
Yes. In general, for research projects in epidemiology or even for disease surveillance, people on the field are filling physical paper. So we print some questionnaire or investigation form that are available at healthcare centers. So when the patient comes and the physician is doing measuring temperature, making these questions, taking symptoms, but all these files are bring to the data management team where you have data entry people, but you have to do a huge work of data cleaning before you are able to analyze, because and this we start changing during COVID-19, because during COVID-19 the government was asking quickly, because Pasteur is the main lab testing in Senegal. We have other laboratory that can do the test, but 80% of COVID suspected cases was diagnosed in Institut Pasteur of Dakar. So a lot of information for the Minister of Health was coming from Institut Pasteur of Dakar. So we had to respond quickly. So during COVID, we start to change and to advise the Minister of Health to go to digital, because if they use tablet, we can implement data cleaning into the form. We can make some constraints, so, and it reduces a lot the errors, etc. And also at real time or quasi real time, we can have the data available on our server, and we can do some checking, additional cleaning before giving the response to the Minister of Health. So it started little by little. We started with a pilot study in one health district in Dakar. We also grow into 6 additional districts, etc., until we go to all the districts in the country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for, it's impressive, and I'm really happy to listen to your talk. 2 questions. One is you sit, I think, in a nice institution where you have got even genetic data coming in.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether, are you able to incorporate your phylogenetic information into your models? Is that something that you're already doing, or it's something in the process? Or maybe asked in a different way, once you detect like your dengue outbreaks, do you then apply models to determine how you might respond? Or are those sort of 2 separate? Then I have, out of interest, would you be willing to work on NTDs, neglected tropical diseases?
Can you repeat?
Would you be willing, or do you have people that work on neglected tropical diseases like schistosomiasis? Because we have previously been in contact in meetings where we had Senegalese Ministry of Health people who work on Schisto, and they were interested in that kind of support and would be more than happy to collaborate on that.
Thank you. So for the sequencing of pathogens, in general, we have a service to other countries or also to the Ministry of Health to identify the pathogen that is circulating. If there is, for example, some suspected dengue cases, we first do PCR to be sure that it's positive or not, and also serology to see if it's IgM, recent infection, or IgG. But additionally also, we do sequencing to see if it's dengue 1, dengue 2, or dengue 3. We have these 3 strains in Senegal, and it helps to map the area of the country where we already found dengue 1, dengue 2, or dengue 3. And this serve only for, we use it in epidemiology for contact tracing to map the contact tracing that we have. We did it once in collaboration with people in Congo, RDC, in Democratic Republic of Congo during Ebola outbreak to map transmission chains and the one we have with the strands. And the same thing is also tried in the Senegalese COVID-19 transmission chains, where we already have the one we got from the epidemiological information, and the sequencing had some issues. We were not able to map the sequence, but it's the main thing that is the use of this genetic data is to confirm transmission connection between people. And for dengue also, it's as an analysis. It's not for modeling when we detect dengue. It's just to the surveillance allow us to know where it is happening, when it happened, and then go collect information. And if it's an outbreak, we collect everything and try to understand the main driver of the outbreak. What are the risk factors, etc. And these findings can help modeling people to predict, etc. And for neglected tropical diseases, I guess these people, maybe it's are they from IP Dakar, these people that you meet that was? It's Minister of Health. Yes, if we can see them, we will be very happy to, because in Pasteur we are interested in neglected tropical diseases, which is not mainly that one, but Zika, we work on many other neglected tropical diseases, and we will be happy to be connected with you, with this team, and to see how we can work together on that. Yeah. I think I don't miss any question.
Another question.
Is it okay? Do we have another question? Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You seem tired. I am also tired. Okay, let me present to you my institution and my teams. My presentation is in English, but let me present in French. And I start with the French-speaking session. OK. Alors, le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun est un établissement hospitalier qui est sur la double tutelle du ministère de la Santé publique, ça c'est la tutelle technique, et sur la tutelle financière du ministère des Finances du Cameroun. Donc le Centre Pasteur a un statut de centre de laboratoire de santé publique de référence actuellement au Cameroun. Il est membre du Pasteur Network comme l'IP Tunis ou encore l'Institut Pasteur de Dakar que nous avons vu tout à l'heure. Mais il est également membre du réseau Gabriel, qui est un réseau de la Fondation Mérieux. Donc, les missions du Centre Pasteur se résument en 4 axes principaux. Donc, on a la mission de service à travers l'analyse médicale, la vaccination. Il y a la mission de santé publique à travers la surveillance et tout le support que l'on apporte au ministère de la Santé. Il y a la mission de la recherche, il y a la mission de la formation à travers l'école des techniciens d'analyse médicale que nous avons et de nombreuses formations que nous organisons en collaboration avec les universités locales. Mais sur l'échiquier national, le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun est un acteur majeur pour la santé, pour le ministère de la Santé, aussi bien pour la surveillance que pour la réponse aux maladies sous surveillance. Alors, le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun a été créé, je dirais plutôt l'Institut Pasteur du Cameroun, a été créé en 1959 grâce à une collaboration avec la France. Mais en 1975, c'est passé comme une institution publique. Donc ça a été nationalisé et le nom a changé. Donc c'est passé de Institut Pasteur à Centre Pasteur. C'est pour cela que c'est un peu différent des autres instituts du Pasteur Network. Ensuite, quelques années après, en 85, on a eu la création d'une annexe. Donc on a, je dirais, un peu 2 centres Pasteur au Cameroun, dont une qui est dans la partie sud et une autre qui est dans la partie nord du Cameroun. Et ce n'est qu'en 92 que nous avons réintégré le Pasteur Network. Et depuis 2015, nous sommes laboratoire national de santé publique pour plus de 20 pathologies. Donc nous accompagnons le ministère de la Santé publique dans la surveillance biologique de ces pathologies-là et aussi la surveillance épidémiologique pour quelques-unes. Donc en 2018, il y a eu une revision des textes, une réorganisation des textes du Centre Pasteur, et le Centre Pasteur est passé de laboratoire national de santé publique à laboratoire de référence de santé publique, parce qu'il y a eu création d'une autre institution qu'on appelait laboratoire national de santé publique. Et après, une autre date importante, c'est 98 ou 2018, où nous avons intégré le réseau Gabriel de la Fondation Mérieux. Alors, l'organisation du Centre Pasteur, on a, dans l'organisation, on a 2 institutions administratives. Donc, d'une part, on a le conseil d'administration et d'autre part, on a la direction générale qui a une direction générale adjointe. Alors, la direction générale est accompagnée dans ses missions par 3 directions opérationnelles et l'annexe qui est considérée également comme une direction. Donc, la première direction opérationnelle, c'est la direction médicale. Et ensuite, on a dans la direction médicale toutes les activités de services liés à l'analyse médicale ou au service. On a la direction scientifique qui, elle, englobe toutes les activités de santé publique et de recherche. Et ensuite, on a une direction administrative et financière. Alors, je vais commencer par présenter un peu les activités de service, parce que ce sont celles qui génèrent le plus de données pour le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun. Donc, de façon journalière, au Centre Pasteur du Cameroun, dans l'analyse clinique biologique, nous traitons un peu plus de 700 dossiers patients, donc qui représentent à peu près 270 000 échantillons ou encore 450 000 analyses effectuées de façon journalière. Donc, vous mesurez un peu ce que ça peut générer comme données. Et parallèlement à ce service d'analyse médicale, on a le service de vaccination, où on administre chaque année un peu plus de 20 000 doses de vaccins. Et on a un service qui est plutôt orienté, pas vers les patients, mais vers les clients, vers les entreprises, qui est le service d'hygiène et environnement. Et donc pour ce service-là également, chaque année, on effectue un peu plus de 5 analyses. Donc ces différents services sont audités chaque année sur la qualité et ont également des accréditations dont vous connaissez certainement les accréditations mieux que moi. Alors donc, le Centre Pasteur également a un rôle social dans la mesure où c'est un établissement public, donc c'est pas un établissement qui est censé faire du bénéfice, et dans son rôle social, le Centre Pasteur, sous l'autorisation du ministère de la Santé, accorde également des réductions pour des analyses à une catégorie de personnes pour permettre que l'analyse biologique soit accessible à tous. Alors pour sa mission de santé publique, dont le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun abrite 3 types de laboratoires. Donc nous avons des laboratoires labellisés OMS, qui peuvent être des laboratoires nationaux ou des laboratoires sous-régionaux ou régionaux. Nous avons également des laboratoires de référence, des laboratoires nationaux de référence qui, cette fois, sont sous la tutelle du ministère de la Santé publique. Et donc, comme je le disais précédemment, on a un peu plus de 20 pathologies qui, au quotidien, sont surveillées, soit sur le plan biologique, soit sur le plan épidémiologique. Et donc, c'est cette activité de santé publique qui a permis au Centre Pasteur de pouvoir déclarer l'interruption de la transmission du poliovirus sauvage au Cameroun, par exemple, il y a quelques années, ou encore plus récemment, la circulation d'une souche issue des vaccins, toujours pour la poliovirus. Alors, pendant l'épidémie de Covid, le Centre Pasteur du Cameroun a été un peu au centre de la stratégie de diagnostic parce que le Centre Pasteur assurait la coordination du diagnostic sur le plan national. Donc, le Centre Pasteur était le premier laboratoire à effectuer, bien évidemment, le diagnostic dès le mois de février 2020, mais de par sa casquette de coordonnateur du diagnostic, a progressivement capacité un certain nombre de laboratoires sur le territoire national, dont au total, on en a capacité 17, qui recouvrent 90% du territoire national. Et donc, ça veut dire que pendant toute la période de l'épidémie de Covid, ce réseau de laboratoires a été mis en place et aujourd'hui, on profite de ce réseau pour la surveillance de d'autres maladies infectieuses, toujours sous la coordination du Centre Pasteur du Cameroun. Et donc, pendant cette décentralisation du diagnostic, on a également apporté notre expertise pour la mise en place d'une plateforme digitale, qui était une plateforme qui existait déjà au Centre Pasteur, qui avait été mise en place dans le cadre de la surveillance de la grippe et d'autres pathologies. Donc, on a pu mettre à disposition du ministère de la Santé publique cette plateforme qui a permis, je dirais, de regrouper à peu près 90% des données du diagnostic de la COVID dans un même endroit, ce qui n'était pas souvent le cas par le passé. Donc, ça a permis d'avoir des données de qualité, de les regrouper dans un même endroit, mais également, ça a surtout permis de présenter des indicateurs de l'évolution de l'épidémie en temps réel aux décideurs de santé publique. Donc, à travers le tableau de bord qui avait été mis en place. Alors, pour l'activité médicale, nous disposons d'un large plateau technique qui permettent de faire une palette importante d'analyses. Mais depuis la COVID, on a également mis en place une plateforme de séquençage qui nous permet de faire du séquençage. Mais pour l'instant, c'est une plateforme qui n'est pas encore très développée. Nous ne faisons que le séquençage de la COVID. Donc, les formations sont en cours pour permettre de capaciter le personnel pour étendre les compétences au séquençage de d'autres virus. Et nous avons également une plateforme d'entomologie médicale, parce qu'on a une forte équipe d'entomologues cliniques qui travaillent beaucoup sur les vecteurs du palu. Alors, sur l'aspect de la recherche, alors, la recherche est portée par la direction scientifique, je dirais que depuis plus de 5 ans, on a, je dirais, un peu plus de 60 projets qui sont actifs chaque année. Alors, tous ces projets sont répartis en 4 thématiques, généralement. Donc, la première thématique, c'est le VIH et les maladies associées, dont notamment la tuberculose, les hépatites. La deuxième thématique, c'est sur les maladies émergentes et réémergentes et les maladies qui sont évitables par la vaccination. La troisième thématique, c'est sur le palu. Donc, on a une forte équipe de palu. Et la dernière équipe, c'est sur les maladies tropicales négligées de la peau, donc notamment l'ulcère de Bureli, le pian, ou encore la rage. Alors, la direction de la recherche est répartie en plusieurs départements. Donc, le plus important, c'est le département de la virologie, qui abrite, je dirais, 2/3 du personnel de la direction scientifique. Mais on a à peu près 7 ou 8 départements dans la direction scientifique. Et moi, je fais partie du département d'épidémiologie et santé publique. C'est un département qui est plutôt transversal. Donc, en principe, nous interagissons avec l'ensemble des départements de la direction scientifique, dont nous travaillons sur toutes les thématiques que je viens de vous présenter tout à l'heure. Alors, depuis quelques années, je dirais depuis une dizaine d'années, la recherche a pris une importance ou un volume important au Centre Pasteur du Cameroun, parce que l'activité première, c'est l'analyse médicale. Mais depuis une dizaine d'années, ça a pris une certaine importance. Aujourd'hui, le budget de la recherche représente à peu près les 1/3 du budget de l'institution. Mais ça reste assez fragile parce que, je dirais, 99% de ce budget est issu des contrats externes. Donc, on bénéficie très peu du support, du moins la recherche bénéficie très peu du support interne. Mais par contre, on a une subvention des différents ministères sous lesquels nous sommes sous la tutelle. Mais cette subvention est plutôt orientée vers le fonctionnement. Alors donc, au sein de la direction scientifique, on a l'équipe ou le département de santé publique, d'épidémiologie et de santé publique. Alors, avant c'était une seule équipe, mais depuis 3 ans, on s'est un peu développé. Donc, on l'a éclaté en 2 équipes. Donc, nous avons une première équipe d'épidémiologie clinique des maladies infectieuses qui est dirigée par le chef du département, le docteur Mathurin Tejoukem. Et à côté, on a une équipe de sciences de modélisation et de sciences de données que je dirige. Donc, c'est une toute petite équipe. Alors, nous sommes actuellement à peu près 8 dans l'équipe, dont 8, c'est avec les stagiaires et toutes les autres personnes qui travaillent sur les aspects de développement de plateformes. Donc, c'est une équipe qui est en train de démarrer, mais la petite équipe travaille sur à peu près 7 projets. Donc, comme j'ai dit, notre activité est transversale. Notre département abrite au total pour cette année, c'est à peu près 28 projets qui représentent un peu plus de la moitié des projets de la direction scientifique. Donc, c'est pour montrer un peu l'activité transversale de notre département sur l'ensemble des projets qui sont menés dans la direction scientifique. Donc, des différents projets que nous menons, nous avons développé ou nous proposons une certaine expertise dans un ensemble de, je ne dirais pas de domaines, ou je dirais plutôt d'outils. Donc, au fil des années, nous avons développé une expertise sur la modélisation des données hiérarchiques à travers les différents projets que nous avons menés. L'imputation des données manquantes, parce que c'est un problème majeur dans les données de santé. Très souvent, on a beaucoup de données manquantes et on ne sait pas comment les gérer. Les tests de non-infériorité, je pense qu'on a fait une partie pendant les 2 semaines sur des tests d'hypothèse. Donc, on a une forte expérience sur les tests d'hypothèse et de non-infériorité. La modélisation spatio-temporelle, mais ici plutôt une modélisation statistique ou à partir des processus ponctuels, donc probabilistiques, des données spatio-temporelles. Alors, l'équipe a aussi de l'expertise en outils de visualisation de données ou encore en développement de plateformes de collecte et d'intégration de données. Et je pense que c'est dans ce cadre-là un peu que nous travaillons dans le Work Package 4 du projet Amax pour développer une plateforme de partage de données, de partage et de gestion de données. Et enfin, dans le cadre de la santé publique, nous avons aussi développé l'expertise en méthode pour détecter assez précocement les épidémies. Donc, c'est ce qu'on appelle généralement les systèmes d'alerte précoce. Donc, voilà un peu brosser les différents sujets sur lesquels mon unité travaille. C'est une petite unité. Et nous espérons qu'à travers le projet Amax, à travers les étudiants que nous allons former, dans 3 ou 4 ans, on aura de nouvelles personnes et peut-être dans 10 ans, ou même peut-être moins. Quelqu'un va me remplacer, comme on va remplacer aussi Slimane, issu de la formation de l'équipe. Donc, sur ce, je vous remercie pour votre attention. Questions? Alors, autre question, peut-être je prends toutes les questions avant de répondre, pour répondre au fur et à mesure.
Autre question?
Bon, s'il n'y a pas d'autres questions, alors ce que je disais, c'est que nous faisons de la modélisation spatio-temporelle à partir des processus ponctuels. Donc, ça peut être des modèles de style hiérarchique dans lesquels on inclut une composante spatiale. Donc, c'est pas compliqué. Alors, ça peut être une matrice d'interaction entre des zones spatiales. Ça peut être simplement une matrice d'interaction. Ça peut modéliser la mobilité, ou ça peut modéliser à travers des processus ponctuels les localisations et les interactions entre les différents points de localisation.
Okay. Donc, merci pour la présentation. J'ai une question par rapport à la rage. Est-ce que c'est un réseau de surveillance de cette pathologie que vous avez mis en place ou bien vous menez des projets de recherche ponctuels?
Alors, pour la rage particulièrement, je pense qu'il y a un projet de recherche qui a commencé il y a un an, le projet RAS, où je pense qu'il y a plusieurs instituts du Pasteur Network qui sont partie prenante de ce projet. Donc, je pense qu'à travers ce projet, on souhaite capaciter les pays pour qu'ils puissent mettre en place des programmes de surveillance de la rage. Donc, on est encore à l'étape projet. Alors, s'il n'y a plus de questions,
Merci.
Je vous remercie.
MUST is the acronym. Yes, that is Mbarara. Yes. So, Mbarara. Yes. I'm sure for people who speak Arabic, that shouldn't be very difficult. There is a lot of ha, 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 ha. So, so that's the university in Mbarara, where I work as a microbiologist. People could be wondering, where is Uganda? So that is the whole world, that's Africa. That's Uganda in the middle of probably Africa. One of the British people called it the Pearl of Africa, a very beautiful place in Africa. And yeah, that red dot is where Mbarara is located. It's in the southwestern part of Uganda. That blue part is, I think, the biggest lake in Africa. That's Lake Victoria, which we share with the Kenyans. I think it was the British who decided to give a part to the Kenyans, because it was generally, it was initially it was all Ugandan, but they decided to give some part to Kenya and some part to Tanzania. This university is a young university. It was established in 1989 as the second public university. Many places where you go, people who know Uganda, they only know Makerere University because it's 100 years. Last year it made 100 years, but this one was established in 1989 by the current president. I think so far in Africa we hold the record of having the longest serving president. I think he's still coming back, but this was his vision. He comes from around the same place. We had only one university and one medical school. So he goes to Cuba when he's just taken over power in 1986, and he goes to Cuba to ask for doctors to come and treat people because the situation was really very bad. Many doctors had left the country, so he's going to Cuba to get some doctors. And Fidel Castro tells him that, why do you want only doctors? Why don't we train your people to become doctors? I think it was a better solution. And so that's how this university is born. And it faced a lot of problems because the big brother did not want anybody else to come. And so it was born with a lot of problems. I joined it in 1994 when it was only 5 years. And it was like a small secondary school. And when we told people we are going to Mbarara to study medicine, because that place has a lot of cows, so people were asking, are you going to study human medicine or veterinary medicine? I said, no, we are going to study human medicine. It was very difficult that in 1995, when the first graduates came out, one of the tabloids in our country said, beware, quack doctors graduate from Mbarara. But when you have a nice vision, a nice mission, and a nice motto like this one, you know, I'm sure you've read the motto. It says, succeed, we must. And that has inspired us to greater heights. Those who are said to be quack doctors are now probably, arguably, some of the best doctors that Uganda has produced, including myself. And so we can borrow that motto and still say, in Amax, succeed, we must. You know? So it's a center of academic excellence in science and technology, and it's focused more on science and technology, and that's probably responsible for its small size because there are not so many people who want to study science. At one point, they opened up a little bit to humanities, and one class was about 500 students, until the president said, no, please, that's not the vision. Let's go back to the vision. So our classes went back to 100, maybe some. Now we have business, so they go up to about 200. It's now a beautiful university with 2 campuses, a small one, which is supposed to be a medical school, yeah, and then there's a bigger one, which has a lot of land. It's located somewhere in a bush. And we have about 5,500 students at the university, and we are about 550 permanent members of staff. The main language of instruction is English. But as you know, the versions of English, like I was told here in Tunisia, the versions of Arabic. So those things also happen. And yeah, we are located in a small city, which is about 270 kilometers outside of Kampala. And it takes you about, if you're driving yourself, cars cool like I've seen you guys here, it will take you about 5 hours. But if you're crazy like some of our people and some Kenyans, it will take you about 4 hours. We have about 90 programs, and they cut across from certificate courses, I think 1 certificate course, and then up to PhDs. So we are a fully fledged university. And these are offered under the following academic units. We have Faculty of Medicine, which was the first faculty, probably up to now the biggest. Then we have business, we have computing and informatics, where my colleague Dr. Simon comes from. And then we have Faculty of Applied Science, where we teach engineering of all kinds. Faculty of Interdisciplinary Science, that's where anybody, if you want to join Bara University, at PhD level you can fit because it is interdisciplinary. And then we have the Faculty of Science, where Eliab did his studies. We also have an Institute of Tropical Forest Conservation. This one is located in a very nice forest near Rwanda, where we have mountain gorillas. I think people have said we have the biggest number of mountain gorillas. We argue over it with Rwanda, but I think we win because Rwanda is very small. And then there's a focus on mothers and newborns. So there's an institute that focuses mostly on mothers and newborns. We have lots and lots of collaborations as a university. According to the International Relations Office, about 185 collaborations and partnerships with so many universities, institutions. And one of the things that the university now is key on is internationalization. I think part of the parameters as they grade universities is how international you are. Yes, as part of the internationalization, we have international students at MUST, and we have a day when they go and have a dinner. And these students really come from so many parts of Africa, including some people coming from Latin America. So these are some of the countries that partner with MUST. I tried to look, maybe when I go back, we shall add Tunisia, but there are many countries that partner with us as a university. And the collaborations focus on students and staff exchange programs. So we have collaborations where we have students moving from one university to another, from one country to another. There are also what we call hackathons. These are for innovations. So we have American universities, Indian universities, and Barara University. They come and brainstorm on particular issues and topics and then come up with innovations. And then we also have joint research and innovation projects, and I think this is where we have so many of these collaborations, including Amax. So these are some of our output areas as a university. As I said, our training is focused on science and technology, and of course, there is business there, but most of this is geared towards community development. As a university, we are very, very keen to focus on issues that affect people. It's not enough to just come up with solutions, but our solutions must be able to address issues of community and development. The last bullet down there talks about community-based education and engagement. And as a university, we have a very strong presence within the community. Very, very strong. From the day the university was started, there was a community program called COBAS. All students go through a placement within the community to kind of understand what are the real issues facing the community. For the medical students, they go to the community for about 10 weeks and design small projects that they can implement within the time they have in that community. And arguably, before this university was started, many doctors who were trained in the big city remained in the big city. So outskirts and upcountry, there were no doctors. So they would graduate 80, 100, and they kind of find themselves around the city. Even those that had come from villages, they would remain within the city. So the concept of community placement changed this, because when we came in, we were placed in sometimes hard to reach places. You go to a place where there is no electricity, but you have to survive there, and you do survive there. So after that experience within the community, even when you're posted in a place which probably you never liked, because you already had that experience, you're able to go. And so that helped to stretch healthcare outside of the cities to the deep and remote areas of our country. So this is a twinning project. Here, this is the Bwindi, which I was telling you about, where they mount gorillas. So the university has a partnership with the people that live around that forest to see how they can better preserve the forest, because we had people that used to live inside the forest and they lived on hunting, and at some point when they were establishing the park, they threw them out of the park, and it was a bit of chaos, because they said, we have lived in this forest for almost the biggest part of our life. And now we are falling sick. We used to eat honey, we used to eat insects, we used to hunt. So this project is helping to work with these people to see how best they can live, besides the government's interests in getting money from tourists. MUST also has innovations. If you look down, there is that small bottle, which is green. For most people in Uganda, they know that as a drug called Covidex. And I'm sure this drug must have reached Kenya and other countries. During the outbreak of COVID, this was one of the most selling products in my country. People were dying, and this is a herbal medicine that was made up by a colleague of mine in pharmacy. And they attended a party, and his colleagues got COVID. One was in ICU, one was at home but very sick. And then he remembered that he had this medicine. This was actually tooth medicine. And he remembered that this tooth medicine has an antiviral property in it. So he said, anyway, we lose nothing, because at that point there was nothing. So he gives this medicine to his colleagues. The one who was in ICU a few days walked out of the ICU, and the other one who was admitted at home also got well. And I mean, everybody started asking for this medicine. In Uganda shillings, I think it was about $2, this medicine. But at the peak of COVID, it reached $100 per small bottle. So MUST prides itself in these kinds of innovations. There are many more, but this is one that stands out for us as a university. Of course, Uganda is a very beautiful country. That's why Churchill said, this is the pearl of Africa. We have all these nice animals. I haven't managed to get to the zoo, but I want to go and see what you have. But I bet, I bet ours may be better than yours in the zoo. We have, on that side, we have those Mount gorillas, one of the few in Africa and probably the whole world. And Uganda has the largest number of families. So if you ever come to Uganda, please remember to book. Yes, that's very good. Simon and I and Eliab will extend these invitations. We have very nice crater lakes, as you see. We have all the lions. Very nice and beautiful country. We also have very nice food. Yes. I mean, I can't invite you to my country and not talk to you about food. I mean, life moves with food. Eh? So, yeah, there is that I think it is top left. It's called Rolex. Okay? And somebody says the other people wear it, for us we eat it. So that's Rolex. It's, I don't know, we say chapati and then there's eggs inside. Now they have modified to very many things. So that's one of the stuff you will find on the street. Every place you pass, you will find Rolex. And then in the basket is millet. I don't know if you guys here have millet, but it's millet grain that is crushed and made very well. And then you have matoke, then you have, on the right, you have fish. I've been in the hotel and I've been eating this fish, but I and Simon were saying that in Uganda, they would arrest us for catching this size of fish because it's very small. Okay. There is a marine unit, they would not allow you to get this kind of fish. But we do have real big fish. Of course, Sahar will argue that you guys have the best salmon. But we have tilapia, which is a freshwater fish, and it's very delicious. So if you come around, please, these are the things you need to explore. The culture of Uganda, we are diverse people. We are not just one group of people, we are diverse. In Uganda, we speak about 52 languages, plus some dialects. So 52. I can hear a few, not all of them. Some people in my country will speak, and I'll be like here when you're speaking French, because I cannot understand. But somehow, we keep along as one country. On the top left, that's my culture. That's how we dress and somehow dance. Okay, that's been, helping you to understand Uganda and Mbarara. So I've been doing some work. Unfortunately, this picture cut off a bit of this. I've been doing work on antimicrobial resistance since 2012, and I finished my PhD in 2011, and I did tuberculosis. And then I said, okay, I've done tuberculosis, and a very able supervisor based in Makerere. And I knew that the TB space was going to be almost impossible for me to get to, because everywhere you went and talked about TB, everybody knew this professor. So it was practically not going to be possible for me to move. And so I thought about problems that were present at that time. And somehow I landed on antimicrobial resistance. I applied for a grant from the American Society for Infectious Diseases for $6,000, and I never heard from them. And later when I looked at the proposal, I realized why I never heard from them, because even if it was me, I would not respond to that proposal. It was very badly and poorly written, and so I think they just knew this African. So then I reworked the proposal for another grant of about $12,000, and fortunately I got it, and that's how I started AMR in our local hospital, trying to understand AMR, implement the WHONET system, in our lab to serve the hospital. And I've been in and out of AMR work for probably over 10 years now. And about 2 years ago, the government of Uganda had a call generally for research. And I put in an application to continue looking at antimicrobial resistance. And I think I should say ambitious, because I wanted to look at antimicrobial resistance from about 3 angles. One angle is the angle of understanding what the problem is. And that is, collect all this data that we've been collecting all along and make sense out of it. And that's where we talked about modeling. And when we went to talk about modeling, we thought about mathematical modeling in the beginning, and then added machine learning. And then the next was, okay, we know the problem. We can say, this is the problem of antimicrobial resistance. All these drugs are resisted by now. So what? So the next thing was, can we predict what the problem will be 10 years from now? Can we try to be a solution? And so we came in to try and make a prediction. The graph you see on the right is just to tell us the status of resistance in Uganda. From the data that we have, it's not very good data, but at least we can make some sense out of it. You can see that there are 2 patterns. Some drugs already are gone. Others, they are still there, but if nothing is done, they will also be lost. After that, okay, we know we have a problem. We're thinking, how will this problem be? Can we try to help the government look at solutions in the future? Can we be part of these solutions? And so we come up and said, okay, we will go back using our COVID success as a university, go back to whatever we know best, which is our hubs. For most of us, we have used hubs before. I don't know about Tunisia, but down the other side, sub-Saharan Africa, we have all grown up using these hubs. Grandmother or mother goes and makes some hubs, and you take and you get well. So we go back to our plants, and from the plants you can see these are some of the products that we are working on as a project that was funded by the government. And our first focus was on fungal infections because they are quite common and quite stubborn in our country. So those are products that we are working on. And since this money comes from the government, you see a picture there, that's a picture of members of parliament, a committee from parliament that had come to follow up and see what we have been doing with government money. And they were very excited because at least we have something. Sometimes people said politicians are very interesting. They will eat everything that you give to them. So they came and they were very excited. Of course, there are some projects that had been funded and they were very disappointed, but at least they found that we are doing something. And I am very happy for Amax because when Amax came, I embraced it wholly because it's fitting in what I'm working on. And one of the things that really was bothering my head was the modeling and prediction part. And I must say that this week has been a great week because me and Simon, for the last 1.5 years, we've been struggling to do some predictions from the data we have, and it was difficult I tasked Simon, said, please help me. And the graphs he was producing, I was not understanding them. Because the data, you can see it like this, and Simon was giving me straight lines up to 2030. I said, but this can't happen. So at least now we know time series, and we are going to try and use time series. We have had some time with Anas, and I think now we are going back happier people, because at least we will be able to crack one of the things that has been a big problem to us for the last 1 year. Because it's been hard. And these guys, when you promise them, you must deliver. That's why they come. I've met this, I think there are 2 committees in my country that deal with health. I've met them twice. They have called me to Parliament to go and present to them. So you must deliver. So my head has been battling, how am I going to convince these people that the money they gave me has done something? So Amax has really been a very good starting point for me, and I'm looking forward to many more breakthroughs in this area as we move forward. Because I believe in the past, in the present, but I believe more in the future. I believe, as I said, I've been looking at AMR for the last 12 years. We have done the microbiology, we have done the whole genome sequencing, we have done the SNPs, but yes, we know this one. But what bothers me much is how will this be in the future? And so I believe that with the tools that are available in this consortium, we'll be able to take steps in predicting the future. I know that some people are worried that you can't predict the future, but you can't predict it 100%. But at least try. Don't just sit and do nothing. I am not a pharmacist, but with colleagues, we have managed to come up with some products that I think work, because we have used some of them. The ointment for skin fungal infections, we have used it and it is working. So we can't sit and say, since we cannot be 100% correct, we should be 0%. No, I think that, yeah, whether you are 90 or 85%, at least do something. Okay, before I bore you too much. That is the university at a glance, and you can see most of the things that are there. We have quite a number of grants that are managed at the university. We have a university-wide grants office that manages money, including the money of Amax. On that note, I want to thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to just follow up on the COVID drug that sold for $100. Was there a clinical trial to it, or how do you know it was effective? Or are we, as a university, providing a drug that possibly we can't know whether it worked or did not work? I quite like somebody drank it and in 3 days they were out of ICU, but I do wonder, is this the drug that did it, or are there alternatives to that hypothesis?
Okay, very, very good. That's the question everybody asks. Okay? But in an epidemic, there's a proverb. It's in one of the languages in my country, that when you are sinking, you can even hold on a snake for support. Okay? You are in the water, you are sinking. If you see a snake, you can think it's a stick, you can actually hold on it. So in the time of an epidemic, there was no time to do a clinical trial. You know, even the COVID vaccine itself, it was never taken through a clinical trial. But I'm sure most of us here have taken more than one dose. Okay? So, I mean, that was the time. And currently, this drug is actually now going through a clinical trial. Unfortunately, for an epidemic, COVID is majorly behind us. But it tells us that, yes, we can. And one of the stories that has come out of the COVID story is that we can still go back to our plants and go back to our soils and find molecules that can still work and help us. So we don't have to throw away natural product medicine. Okay, thank you very much.
Donc, bonsoir à tous. Donc, I am going to do my presentation in French, but the slides are in English. Donc, je vais vous présenter donc, ma structure, le CERMES, le Centre de recherche médicale et sanitaire, en commençant donc par une brève historique. Donc, au cours de l'organisation de coordination et de lutte contre les grandes endémies, le CERMES était dénommé Centre de recherche contre les méningites et les schistosomiases en 1980. En 2000, après la dissolution de cette organisation et le retrait de l'IRD, le CERMES, donc en 2002, est devenu un établissement public à caractère scientifique et technique et a pris la dénomination de Centre de recherche médicale et sanitaire. En 2003, nous sommes devenus donc membres du réseau des instituts Pasteur. En 2007, donc à la suite d'une convention tripartite, donc nous sommes devenus membres du réseau RIP. En 2017, le CERMES est devenu donc institution nationale de coordination, donc une désignation par l'Organisation ouest-africaine de la santé. Et en 2021, nous sommes devenus membres à part entière du réseau Pasteur Network. Nos valeurs, c'est de pouvoir répondre donc aux défis des événements sanitaires qui peuvent se présenter, que ce soit les événements actuels ou futurs. Notre vision, c'est de pouvoir donc anticiper ces événements en tenant compte des pathologies, que ce soit des pathologies infectieuses et dans une approche multidisciplinaire. Notre vision, c'est surtout la recherche, la santé publique, la formation et l'expertise. Le CERMES, en tant qu'Institut national de coordination, a pour rôle donc de détecter les épidémies, de servir de lien entre le ministère de la Santé et l'organisation ouest-africaine. Donc ici, nous avons l'organigramme du CERMES, donc je crois qu'il n'est pas tellement visible. Donc nous dépendons donc du ministère de la Santé publique du Niger. Nous avons un conseil administratif et un conseil scientifique, une direction générale, une direction scientifique donc, qui a en charge l'évaluation des unités de recherche et des plateformes, et nous avons une direction des affaires administratives et financières. Nous avons 4 unités de recherche, l'unité de bactériologie, l'unité de virologie, d'épidémiologie, santé, environnement, climat dont je suis la responsable. Au niveau de cette unité, nous sommes au nombre de 11 membres, 2 médecins épidémiologistes, un biostatisticien que nous venons de recruter récemment, et 1 géomaticien et 7 techniciens en épidémiologie. Nous travaillons sur beaucoup de projets de recherche sur la COVID-19, où nous avons donc mené des études de prévalence, de séroprévalence en collaboration avec l'unité d'immunologie. Et nous travaillons sur les méningites bactériennes, où nous essayons de trouver des moyens de lutte contre cette pathologie, donc qui constitue un problème de santé publique dans notre région, où chaque année, cette pathologie revient donc sous forme d'épidémie et de manière cyclique. Et nous travaillons aussi sur le paludisme, sur la malnutrition, sur la santé de la mère et de l'enfant, la santé reproductive, où nous avons donc mené un projet intitulé Inspire, où l'idée, chaque femme qui vient dans une structure sanitaire pour une consultation puisse bénéficier de tout le paquet minimum donc, qui existe au niveau de la structure. Nous avons une unité de parasitologie et d'entomologie médicale. Donc, ces 4 unités mettent donc en œuvre les 3 missions du CERMES, à savoir la recherche, la santé publique et la formation. Nous avons au niveau du CERMES 6 plateformes. La plateforme de sérologie et immunologie, qui travaille donc sur tout ce qui est études de séroprévalence, qui sert d'interface entre les autres unités, qui mène des études donc de cancérologie également, et qui est au niveau de cette plateforme, nous avons une unité de production de bandelettes, donc qui sert à faire le diagnostic de les méningites au pied même du lit du malade. Nous avons donc une plateforme de biologie moléculaire qui sert également d'interface entre les différents laboratoires du CERMES. Nous avons récemment, dans le cadre du projet AfroSkin, mis en place donc une plateforme de séquençage et de génomique. Nous avons un centre de prélèvement donc, qui est en cours, qui n'est pas tellement fonctionnel. Nous avons une biobanque et un insectarium. En matière de santé publique, le CERMES est laboratoire national de référence pour 8 pathologies. Pour les méningites bactériennes, dont nous détenons une expertise et une existence d'une base de données de plus de 20 ans. Nous avons également une unité de production de bandelettes que je viens de dire tout à l'heure. Le CERMES est également laboratoire national pour la grippe et autres infections respiratoires. Donc, nous détenons un site de surveillance de cette pathologie au niveau du pays. Donc, cette surveillance est assurée par l'unité de virologie. Le CERMES est LNR pour le choléra et les gastro-entérites. Pour la diphtérie, la coqueluche, les helminthiases et schistosomiases, la polio, virus environnemental et les hémorragies, et les fièvres hémorragiques et les arboviroses. En matière de formation, le CERMES donc, détient un centre de formation qui fait la promotion et la visibilité du CERMES, qui forme les chercheurs, donc les chercheurs de la nouvelle génération, les collaborateurs, les agents de santé, et qui est en train de positionner le CERMES comme un centre d'excellence. Nous menons des formations continues, des stages académiques et professionnels. Donc, il s'agit du centre de formation Pierre et Anne-Marie, donc, qui avait été inauguré en 2012. Ici, nous avons la liste de nos partenaires. Dans le cadre du projet Amax, je ne reviens pas sur tout ce que Amira a eu à dire ce matin, que c'est un cadre de collaboration donc, entre modélisateurs, épidémiologistes et des anthropologistes, des informaticiens. Et nous avons commencé à rentrer dans cette thématique de modélisation à travers le projet REPAIR au niveau du Work Package 4, où l'unité d'épidémiologie et de santé, environnement, climat s'était positionnée comme partenaire. Cette thématique est très importante et a pour but de surtout formuler des recommandations pour orienter donc les stratégies de nos leaders politiques. Donc le rôle, c'est surtout donc, de pouvoir donc choisir, de mentorer donc des étudiants en PhD, en postdoc. Au niveau donc du Niger, nous avons donc en charge de sélectionner un étudiant en PhD qui va travailler sur cette thématique de modélisation. Le sujet pour le moment n'est pas encore ficelé. Et quelles sont les données disponibles, qui sont disponibles à notre niveau et qui entrent dans le cadre donc, du projet Amax? Donc nous avons des données sur le HPV, des données épidémiologiques, sociodémographiques, des données sur les facteurs de risque, des données donc en relation avec les données donc au niveau des consultations, que ce soit les consultations journalières et mensuelles, des données au niveau hospitalier et des données en rapport avec les coûts que peuvent engendrer cette pathologie. Et nous avons des données qui sont au niveau du registre des cancers et nos collaborateurs dans cette étude sont surtout l'unité d'immunologie, la plateforme d'immunologie et de sérologie, le Centre national de lutte contre les cancers qui est doté d'un laboratoire, d'une pharmacie et d'un service de radiologie. Et nous avons également le laboratoire d'anatomopathologie au niveau de l'université Abdou Moumouni de Niamey. Par rapport à la COVID-19, dont nous avons mené, le CERMES a été donc le service qui a plus travaillé donc, sur cette pathologie, où tous les échantillons étaient acheminés au niveau de notre structure. Nous avons donc la base de données nationale qui contient non seulement les données épidémiologiques et les données de diagnostic. Et nous sommes en train de nous renseigner pour pouvoir accéder à la base des effets secondaires, donc après la première campagne de vaccination. Le laboratoire de virologie détient donc la base de données pour tous ceux qui est variants qui ont été diagnostiqués au niveau du pays. Nous avons également des données au niveau des différents projets de recherche, des études ponctuelles que nous avons menées lors de la pandémie de la COVID-19, donc en milieu populationnel, intrafamilial. Et nous avons les données donc, de sérologie. Donc, dans presque tous nos projets, il s'agit des études de prévalence et de séroprévalence. Nous avons également des données sur la perception et la connaissance de cette pathologie, donc des données socio-anthropologiques. Nos collaborateurs dans cette gestion donc, de cette pathologie, c'est surtout la virologie, l'unité donc de sérologie et d'immunologie du CERMES et la direction de surveillance et de riposte aux épidémies. Donc, je suis au terme de ma présentation. Je vous remercie.
Thank you for the talk. It's very interesting. And I think this question is a bit broader than just for CERMES. It's for the other, particularly actually the Pasteur network institutions. Is why modelling now? I mean, modelling for policy has been around for some time, certainly in the UK context where I'm from. So I'm interested, and you know, you've had good capabilities in terms of epidemiology and surveillance for a long time. So is the trigger really COVID, seeing how it could be, how modelling could be useful, or is the trigger the opportunity of Amax? You know, for the first time you've had an opportunity to get involved and wanted to seize it, or is it something else? I'm just interested to know why now for the modelling, given the long-standing network and the long-standing capabilities in epidemiology and surveillance that you have, and not just in CERMES but across the network. I don't know if you need to translate.
La question à Matola, c'est pourquoi maintenant la modélisation? Pourquoi après le Covid, malgré qu'il y a une surveillance pour l'épidémiologie? Et donc, pourquoi la modélisation maintenant?
Donc, merci pour cette question. Et comme je l'avais dit, c'est dans le cadre de RUPER, le projet RUPER, que nous avons pu intégrer, donc, si je peux dire, ces conceptions. Et c'est un outil, donc une thématique qui répond, qui est proche de l'épidémiologie, mais qui répond donc à nos attentes. C'est une expertise qui n'existe pas au CERMES. Et je peux dire dans beaucoup d'institutions du pays, donc nous n'avons pas cette thématique de modélisation, donc, et qui est surtout en vogue, qui est d'actualité. Donc c'est pour ça qu'actuellement nous sommes intéressés donc, à ce volet et pouvoir former quelqu'un qui peut prendre cette thématique en charge.
In fact, she's saying that in CERMES there is no expertise in modeling. So they started with Project Repair, which is a project funded by Pasteur Network during COVID-19. And that's how they found how it's interesting to use modeling to predict. For other institutions, they can talk by themselves, but for Pasteur Tunis, in fact, is a modeling unit in Pasteur Tunis is very new because the lab as a mathematical and bioinformatics unit, as Liman presented, started in 2016. However, in fact, we use a lot of statistics to predict in Tunisia. What is new here in for public health, especially for Pasteur Institute, is using predictive or dynamical system, like multi-agent modeling or a differential equation. So it's very new. However, for statistical model, they use it a lot, and they use it a lot to predict as a tool. Anyone want to respond to the question of Caroline?
Okay, thank you. For Senegal, in IPD, we are doing modeling before, if I can say, for example, for ecological niche modeling, we are using it previously. And before joining IPD, I was in ISRA team. ISRA Institute, it is a Senegalese Institute for Agriculture Research. And there were lots of veterinarians, and we are collecting data on animals, vectors, and so on. And I usually use ecological models, ecological niche modeling to predict the potential hotspot. And I think that this is a different way of modeling, because modeling for humans and modeling for vectors is a little bit different. And during COVID-19, we experienced this type of modeling in IPD. And I cannot say we didn't have the experience, because we previously worked with Pasteur Paris, with the team with Simon Cauchemez, and we did a lot of modeling around that. But COVID proves the importance of modeling, and everywhere goes around, and we are improving modeling and try to teach the young biostatistician or young mathematician to how to use model for helping decision making. And I think this joining Repair project, joining Amax project, will build a nice consortium around the country, and it will be especially for modeling by African within African people. Usually, in my experience, I was working with people from outside the country. And with Repair, with this project, I think we are with us and we can grow a lot with that. Thank you.
Bonsoir. Je vais faire ma présentation en français, mais les slides sont en anglais. Je suis ravi de faire partie de ce consortium pour présenter un peu les activités du service épidémio. Alors, d'abord, la République centrafricaine, beaucoup de monde ne connaissait pas, parce qu'à chaque fois quand je dis je viens de la Centrafrique, bon, on me pose la question c'est où? Alors la Centrafrique, c'est le pays qui est juste là. Quand vous regardez la carte de l'Afrique, le pays qui est au plein cœur de l'Afrique, c'est la Centrafrique. Donc les gens confondent avec le Cameroun ou le Congo, voilà. Et donc, le vrai centre de l'Afrique, c'est dans une préfecture qui est chez nous. Il y a un petit monument qui traduit ça. Alors, l'Institut Pasteur de Mwangi a été créé en 1961. Ça fait à peu près 63 ans aujourd'hui. Qui est dirigé actuellement par Pasteur qui est le nouveau directeur général actuellement. Et c'est regroupé en 4 directions. La direction scientifique, qui est dirigée par professeur Emmanuel Nakouné, qui est lauréat du prix Christophe Mérieux de 2024. Et nous avons une direction administrative financière et puis une direction qui gère la sécurité du site. Alors, l'Institut Pasteur de Mwangi a plusieurs unités de recherche dans l'épidémiologie et la recherche clinique, l'unité de virologie qui regroupe pas mal d'activités de l'Institut. On a aussi une unité d'entomologie médicale, les entérovirus et hépatites, et on a aussi un laboratoire d'analyse biomédicale. Alors, dans l'unité d'épidémiologie, nous avons 3 activités. La recherche clinique, bioinformatique, biomathématiques, statistiques et épidémiologie et santé publique. Alors, quand je suis arrivé en 2016, il n'y avait pas cette activité, il n'y avait que la recherche clinique et épidémiologie et santé publique. Donc, je suis arrivé en 2016 et on m'avait confié la tâche de data management et analyse, puisque c'est ce qui était plus important à cette époque-là. Et le reste des activités, notamment la biostatistique, biomathématiques, c'est moi qui ai initié à travers ma thèse. Bon, au départ, quand j'avais commencé en 2017, il n'y avait pas la volonté de la direction générale à appuyer cette activité. Et c'était beaucoup plus le laboratoire, puisque bon, le directeur général était issu du laboratoire. Donc, pour eux, c'était beaucoup plus développer le laboratoire. Et les activités biostatistiques, biomathématiques, là, c'était pas du tout leur problème. jusqu'à ce que j'ai soutenu ma thèse en 2021, qu'ils ont vu l'importance de cette activité. Et en 2021, où Covid a commencé, où j'avais écrit un article par rapport à la Covid, notamment sur la distanciation sociale. Parce que le pays c'est une superficie de 623 000 km² et nous avons une population globale de maximum 6,5 millions. Donc si vous regardez la densité par population, c'est très faible et il n'y avait pas assez de trafic, des attroupements. Alors, dire qu'on va cesser les activités économiques pour réduire, et j'ai dit non, nous n'avons pas notre modèle, le modèle que j'avais écrit, c'est je prenais en compte le mouvement, la dynamique de la population, les transactions à travers lieux de travail, ainsi de suite, les heures de pointe, tout ça. Et chez nous, c'est pas vraiment consistant. Et donc, du coup, mettre les gens à la maison et ne pas faire leur activité économique, ça ne pesait pas. Donc, c'est là où l'histoire de la biomathématique et biostatistique a commencé, jusqu'à ce que le directeur de YAP est venu. Et comme il est épidémiologiste, c'est lui maintenant qui a pris cette activité en main et il m'a proposé maintenant de devenir partenaire de Amax. Et entre-temps, on avait discuté avec Jules sur le projet et vu que chez nous en République centrafricaine, le département de mathématiques et statistiques, il n'y avait pas assez d'étudiants. Et j'avais dit à Jules que trouver les étudiants pour faire ce travail, ça sera un peu compliqué si le projet dit que bon, on reste que sur les femmes. C'est un peu compliqué. Après, c'est plusieurs mois après que YAP m'a dit que non, il y a un tel truc, il fallait participer. Voilà pourquoi je suis venu. Et donc, dans le cadre de ce partenariat avec Amax, nous le souhaitons parce que pour l'instant, je suis le seul qui mène l'activité. Et là, j'ai pris deux étudiantes qui font le développement parce que nous répondons aussi à des activités de développement de plateformes locales pour l'Institut parce qu'il y a d'autres plateformes que l'Institut achète, mais ça coûte cher en termes de mise à jour, tout ça. Et j'avais proposé que nous, au niveau de l'Institut Pasteur, nous pouvons développer nos propres plateformes pour gérer tout ce qui est, par exemple, gestion de projets de recherche, les ressources humaines, et ainsi de suite. Et donc, les deux personnes que nous avons pris en stage ont réussi à développer des outils propres à l'Institut Pasteur qui permettent de ne pas gaspiller de l'argent en achetant. Alors notre objectif, c'est de voir cette petite unité grandir à travers des partenariats comme Amax, qui va nous permettre de trouver des ressources, faire des formations, appuyer les activités de recherche, notamment en biomathématiques, biostatistique. Et pour la bioinformatique, c'est dans le cadre du projet AfroScreen. Et donc, le pays a généré des séquences et à chaque fois, je posais cette question, bon, on génère des séquences, qu'est-ce qu'on en fait après? Et comme il n'y a pas de personnes, donc on m'a dit de compléter avec la bioinformatique et trouver des gens pour agrandir cette petite... voilà. Donc, nous souhaitons vraiment, nous sommes une toute jeune équipe et nous sommes comme je dirais, le bébé qui a 1 an ou 2 ans, qui cherche à marcher, trouver des partenaires pour faire grandir l'équipe. Et notre souhait est de voir d'ici 5 ans, 10 ans, l'équipe grandir et avoir la vision comme celle de l'Institut Pasteur de Tunis, où on voit que c'est c'est depuis. Je vous remercie. Ma présentation n'est pas longue. Peut-être vous attendez à plus grande présentation. Oui. Oui.
Après, mis à part le projet Amax, est-ce que vous avez la possibilité d'envoyer des gens de votre équipe en stage à travers les instituts partenaires de Amax? Même en dehors d'Amax, s'il y a d'autres programmes au niveau de votre institut qui permet à des étudiants en master ou des thésards de passer quelques mois de stage dans une équipe de bioinformatique ou de biostatistique, ça peut être une bonne idée pour, comme tu dis, lancer l'équipe, quoi.
Oui, quand Jules m'avait dit, je lui avais proposé que si c'est pour former des étudiants en master, il y en a tellement, mais sauf que le projet Amax ne forme pas des étudiants en master, sinon on allait trouver au moins 3 ou 4 candidats pour le master et ajouter à l'équipe. Et dans le cadre de cette formation de master, trouver des sujets de thèse qui vont grandir. Mais sauf que le partenaire a décidé que... voilà. Mais sinon, on a des étudiants, des étudiantes aussi, qui sont en master. Et il y a une qui est à Yaoundé, mais pas au centre Pasteur. Et actuellement, au niveau interne, nous sommes en train de développer par rapport... sous le leadership de professeur Yap, qui veut vraiment voir cette activité grandir. Donc, il se bat pour trouver des bourses, même en dehors de Amax, surtout formées d'abord au niveau de master, et puis par la suite, voilà. On avait monté un projet, le projet où c'est pas financé. Dans ce projet, nous, on avait proposé de financer 5 étudiants de master et 2 vont faire la thèse. Comme ça, les 5 vont être ajoutés à l'équipe qu'on va faire. On va être une équipe de 8 personnes, mais sauf que bon, le projet n'a pas encore abouti. Mais bon, on va trouver des partenaires.
Donc, merci pour cette présentation. Nous sommes tous passés par ces débuts et on connaît un petit peu l'importance du partenariat. Donc, ma question, c'est, vous avez beaucoup d'étudiants de master et peut-être pas assez de sujets d'encadrement. Est-ce que c'est la question?
Nous avons des étudiants en master. On a très peu des encadrants en mathématiques appliquées, notamment, vu que en mathématiques appliquées, je peux dire qu'au niveau interne, je suis le seul.
Okay.
Mais tous les autres professeurs ont fait les mathématiques pures, donc ça ne les intéresse pas. Les mathématiques appliquées, ce n'est pas leur problème. Mais nous avons des étudiants vraiment qui désirent faire les mathématiques appliquées.
Et qui ont un niveau avec...
qui désirent vraiment le faire.
Bah, moi, j'ai une suggestion. Nous avons un certain nombre d'entre nous, universitaires, des masters. Et la crise du Covid nous a appris à travailler à distance. Est-ce qu'on ne peut pas, par exemple, à travers vos besoins, en cours ou en encadrement, associer vos étudiants, même à distance, s'il y a un peu de financement, peut-être un stage de 6 mois, etc. Moi, en tout cas, j'ai un master. Si vous avez des étudiants qui sont intéressés, je peux mettre à profit notre programme pour les former. Mais c'est des mathématiques appliquées.
Oui, c'est vraiment une très bonne... Merci beaucoup, parce que ça va beaucoup être moins cher, les formations à distance. Donc, j'accepte vraiment, c'est avec plaisir.
On en discutera.
D'accord, merci beaucoup.
D'autres questions?
Ok.
Good afternoon. Hope it's still afternoon. So I'm going to present about CEMA, and I will speak in English. So bear with me. So the Center for Epidemiological Modeling and Analysis is a center at the University of Nairobi. And what you can see on the slides, that's the University of Nairobi. And for the center, and specifically for the university, it went through structuring in 2020. And so centers and institutes are purely mandated to do research work. So we do not have any students that, any taught subjects for long term in the centers, but you can do some modular courses. So I'll focus more on the research bit and the modular training aspect. As I said, the center is at the University of Nairobi, and we mainly focus on data analytics and modeling with the main aim of aiding health decisions, and we are supporting government departments, and specifically that's the Ministry of Health, with the aim of ensuring that there is evidence-based decision-making. We are a multidisciplinary center where we bring people from different disciplines with the aim of having an evidence-based decision-making from different angles. And it's governed through a co-directorship, and one of the directors is Professor Thumbi Mwangi, who's here with us. We also do training specifically for modeling and data analytics, and with that we are also members of other collaborating consortiums. That's the NTD Modeling Consortium, and also the International Clinics on Infectious Disease Dynamics and Data. Our core support comes from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The center has three main ingredients. That's the people, the work, where we ensure we have added value, and the support, that's through institutional. As I've mentioned, it's under the University of Nairobi, and also through resources. I start with the people, and you can see most of the people are young. Thumbi is among the oldest people in the team. So it's mainly young people who do a lot of driving of the work in the center. For the work, it starts from the lessons we learned from the time of COVID-19, which is the time when the center was officially launched. And with this, with the modeling groups that came together and did modeling work for the Ministry of Health, we realized that it was an iterative process where the modeling questions came from different angles. Some came from the Director General, mainly at the Ministry of Health, and some questions also came directly from the Ministry of Education or the Religious Council. So it's just to ensure that you have an iterative process with the policymakers, and also ensure that you package the modeling results in a way that the policymakers understand. And from there, we have always worked to ensure that we have an iterative process with the policymakers, where we co-develop with them the models, and also we work with them to show them the results at different times based on their questions. And with this, we have seen a bit of trust and them taking up the results from the modeling work. One of the things we realized is where there is fragmented health data sources, and there's also limited access to some of this data, and other nuances such as the data where there's not good accuracy of the data and lack of completeness, and also the limited analytical capacity. And with this, we ensure for any angle we take with the modeling or also giving any insights, we also collate the data and ensure that it's easily accessible for other researchers who want to do the same kind of work, so that you don't go through the hard process of cleaning the data and also getting the data. We have main thematic areas in CEMA, and some of them are the health technology assessment, where this is the work that Thumbi had mentioned in his talk earlier during the day about just looking at the social health insurance fund for the government, and where they bring together the health economists and the modelers to ensure that there's a health technology assessment aspect. Another thematic area is neglected tropical diseases. We also do work on primary healthcare, zoonotic diseases, and infectious diseases. And all this, we ensure that we use applied epidemiological modeling to ensure that there's evidence-based decision-making. And also with the data that's collated from these processes, we ensure that it's easily accessible to all other researchers. And also with this, we ensure that there's increased analytical capacity, both from the Ministry of Health and also for any other students who are doing this work as part of their research or master's projects. We also have HIV and AIDS work and also antimicrobial resistance work, and this is mainly through clinical trials, which is led by the other co-director who's interested in this. A few examples, when I take the thematic area of the health technology assessment, is where you look at service availability from a facility and you try and check if a facility has all the requisites required to ensure they have service readiness. And this looks at equipment, the right infrastructure, and the right personnel, and to check the service readiness, is it at 100% or 70%, and what's lacking to ensure they get to the 100%. We worked on this with the Ministry of Health, where they collected the data and we helped with the analytics of this work, and this work has been launched, which happened in December last year. And now from this work, they're going to the second phase of just trying to look at, for the different diseases and the different thematic areas, what are the gaps that are found in the health facilities to ensure the readiness is at an optimum. The second thematic area where I'll give examples is on the neglected tropical diseases work. And here we get requests both from a global angle through the NTD modeling consortium and the regional angle and also in the local level. In the global angle, we've been able to work on two questions. One is on schistosomiasis, where the World Health Organization wanted to understand what is the impact of the proportion of people who are never treated. And this proportion never treated are people who, even if you get your 75% target, you have people who continuously for 5 years never get treatment. And when you're working towards elimination, this group of people become really critical because they continue increasing the burden of taking up these worms in the population. And the second question that we had was to just try and understand what are the factors that are associated with elimination of onchocerciasis in some of these countries in the African region. The other question that we've had, the regional one, is the one Thumbi mentioned about the Ministry of Health in Senegal is interested in understanding the optimal treatment strategies that are required to ensure they get to the target of elimination as a public health problem by 2030. And the third example is the local context, where from the Kenya Ministry of Health, we have worked together with them to just try and understand how many treatment rounds are required to achieve both the Kenya target and also the WHO target. A few results that we can see from the work that we did with the World Health Organization. The first bit is results from the impact of the proportion never treated for schistosomiasis. And you can see when you get to the high prevalence areas, then the number of people who are never treated become really critical, and they have an impact in you achieving your targets for elimination. And then on the other side is just trying to show the interruption of transmission for onchocerciasis, and you can see that more than 15 years of intervention are required to eliminate this disease, and particularly in the areas with high baseline endemicity, which require long interventions. For both of this work, they've both been accepted for publication, and they're going through that process in 2 different journals. The other example I'll give is work on primary healthcare. And here we work together with the Ministry of Health to just try and understand the impact of COVID-19 on essential health services. And we were able to see the impact of disruptions in the primary healthcare utilization and in areas where there was no disruption, such as the skilled deliveries. Another good example on the primary healthcare is work we have done on measles and just trying to use geospatial models to understand which are the areas that have a low probability of maintaining the measles vaccine at 95%. And for this, it's important to understand when you're trying to have the, I'm trying to remember what SIA is in full. Yes, you said it was? Yes, the supplementary immunization activities to know which areas of the country to target so as to reach your 95% coverage. Having learned all these lessons and seeing how the Ministry of Health has really taken up the work from modeling, especially during the COVID-19, the task force that was there for COVID-19 is now being changed to an applied epidemiological modeling task force, where the Ministry of Health comes to researchers with questions that they have on different infectious diseases. And with this now, the researchers help to answer the questions through modeling and then give back the results to the policymakers. As I said, one of the things that we realized was the fragmented data sources. And as a center, we hope to have a one-stop data and analytics point where if you're interested in different data sets, be it the health data, the health facility data, the population data, you're able to know where to find this data. And for some where we are able to give it at an aggregate level, we provide it from the website. And for the ones that are protected, are password protected, we lead you to the right office where you can get that you can be able to get the data. And so this just helps if someone is trying to do any research work, you don't go through the nuances of trying to understand where the different fragmented data sets lie. The other thing that we're really keen on is the training and capacity strengthening. And we have tried to have some collaborative courses. And one of them was 1-week course where we had with the University of Cambridge, that's Caroline Trotter's team. And from here, there were fellowships which were given to people in the ministry and also researchers where they had 6 months to work with a mentor and to just increase their capacity in modeling. And some of this has led to some individuals doing work on, for example, HPV vaccine, that's Valerian, and also someone like Abel just ending up to do more work and doing now his PhD in the University of Cambridge. We have also tried to do training in R and data analytics where we targeted the whole continent and we had a lot of interest in it. And most of the people who applied for this course were from the health, science, and epidemiology. And we tried doing it once online over a 4-week period, and it was really accepted well, but we are now hoping as we scale it up, we also focus on the Francophone countries. And we're happy that Amax is there and we have people who are from the Francophone countries so we can collaborate and ensure that we have an R training course to just increase the skills in the continent. Finally, about the Amax project, we went through a process of trying to find the right candidates. And for this, we did not handpick, but we advertised it. And we advertised it over a week on our Twitter, or now it's called X, on our X account. And we had 58 applicants, and 3 were filtered out as they were men, because we only were focusing on getting women. And, and we realized that out of our applicants, we had a big proportion from Kenya, and also a good number of proportion from Uganda, Cameroon, Zambia, and Nigeria. And so this just shows you that there's a lot of interest in the continent and there's a need, and even as we start with this cohort, it's good for us to look for more money to train more women. Sorry, I'm now being gender biased, but for us to train more women in the continent. And for the ones that applied, we saw that for most of them, their undergraduate degree was on public health, biostatistics, and epidemiology. And similarly, in their master's degree, it was more around public health, epidemiology, and biostatistics. There was a good number of them who had knowledge in statistical models, and just a few number who had knowledge on compartmental models and individual-based models. From this project, we're going to train one student from Kenya, that's a PhD student, and she's going to focus on the impact of COVID-19 on systematic programs on neglected tropical diseases. And the reason why we chose this topic is because when you look at most of these systematic programs that are geared towards elimination, most of them stopped because of the pandemic. And one example is like schistosomiasis, where they did not give mass drug administration for 2 years. And so to just try and understand what was the impact of this, of COVID-19 on these systematic programs, and to also act as a learning lesson for future pandemics so that we can find optimal ways of both dealing with the pandemic and also dealing with these systematic programs. I'll end it there and take any questions. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Was it for beginners or the training online for R? What was the level you choose? Or like very beginners could join, because it's very hard to train R online. I never tried.
Yes, so we took people who were beginners, but we only focused on people who were doing postgraduate degrees and they already had data. How we did it is in the mornings we had lectures, and then in the afternoon we had now doing the practicals, and we'd given them assignments where in the afternoon they would use that to discuss what they had done in their practicals. And we did it over 4 weeks. It was also a learning lesson for us because we'd never trained R online before. And it was actually a success because there was a small rate of people who dropped out, and most people stayed for the 4 weeks up until they did their projects.
Great, thanks. I think on 4 weeks you have time to go slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matono. That's great. I mean, CEMA is a great example of an institution or a centre that's grown quite quickly, and you have now this really nice critical mass. Your photo, it's a busy photo. There's lots of people on that, and there are, you're probably one of the bigger centres in Amax, along with the group in Tunisia. And I think that's a really nice feature of Amax, is in that the smaller groups can learn from the experiences and lean a bit on the larger groups. And I think that's a really nice feature of Amax, because what you need to have is a critical mass, people who you can talk to about your modelling, you can share experiences and problems. And I think that is really a good feature.
Thank you for that.